In the small, seemingly sleepy town of Willow Creek, the arrival of the Moonlight Carnival was the highlight of the summer for most teens. Set up on the old fairgrounds near the shadowy edge of Willow Woods, the carnival was a mixture of bright lights, thrilling rides, and the constant, tantalizing smell of popcorn and cotton candy. Among the local teens, there were rumors whispered between shivers and nervous laughs about the carnival's final night. It was said that on this night, the rides went faster, the games were eerily unbeatable, and the performers' smiles were just a bit too wide. Most dismissed these stories as just that stories until the summer of '98. For friends, Ellie, Jason, Marco, and Lana decided they were too old to believe in such tales. It was their tradition to visit the carnival on its last night, challenging each other to the scariest rides and the most impossible games. As they entered through the twinkling gate of lights, the thrill of defiance added an edge to their excitement. Their first stop was the Ferris wheel, towering over the fairgrounds like a watchful giant. As they ascended, the view of the town dimmed by the night was beautiful, but for the first time, Ellie felt a twinge of unease. The wheel creaked ominously, pausing longer than usual at the top. The operator, a man with a toothy grin, simply tipped his hat when they disembarked, his eyes twinkling unnaturally bright under the carnival lights. Shrugging off the discomfort, they made their way to the hall of mirrors. Inside, their reflections twisted and stretched in ways that seemed impossible. Laughter turned to silence as they noticed one mirror that didn't reflect anything. It was just a dark, empty pane. Marco, always the brave one, touched it, his hand passing through as if the glass was merely mist. Pulling back quickly, he suggested they leave. No one argued. Their nerves frayed, they decided on one last ride, the infamous Devil's Drop, a roller coaster known for its heart-stopping drops and sharp, hairpin turns. As they strap in, the ride operator, a woman with piercing blue eyes, whispered, "Enjoy the last ride of the night." The emphasis on last set shivers down their spines. The ride began as expected, fast and exhilarating. But as they approached the first drop, the lights along the track flickered out, plunging them into darkness. The only sounds were the rush of wind and their own screams. Each turn felt more unpredictable, each drop more severe than they remembered. When the ride finally screeched to a halt, they stumbled off, pale and silent, unsure if the terror they experienced was real or magnified by their imaginations. Gathering their wits, they noticed the carnival was quieter now, the crowd thinner, and the night almost unnaturally dark. The cheery music that had been constant background noise was now intermittent, broken by static. As they walked toward the exit, the ride slowed to a stop, the lights dim, and the few remaining carnival workers watched them leave, their stares lingering too long to be comfortable. Back at home, the adrenaline of the night wore off, replaced by an unsettling realization every story they had heard might not have been just a tale. While they had no tangible proof of anything supernatural, the fear and the feelings from the night were real enough. They agreed, without needing to discuss it, that some traditions like visiting the Moonlight Carnival on its last night were better left unkept. The next year, the carnival didn't return to Willow Creek, nor the year after. The town slowly let go of the stories, attributing them to the wild imaginations of its youth. But for Ellie, Jason, Marco, and Lana, The memories remain vivid and chilling as a reminder of the night when the carnival horror wasn't just a story. Mila always felt most at home in the quiet, shadowy fringes of life, where she could observe the world without having to be a part of it. This year, as the annual Harvest Moon Carnival set up on the outskirts of her small town, her sense of solitude deepened. Unlike other teens her age, who came in laughing groups, Mila walked the carnival grounds alone, her presence almost ghost-like amidst the boisterous crowds. Her fascination wasn't with the pulsing lights or the raucous games, but with the old carousel in the far corner of the carnival. It was less popular than the flashier rides, its paint faded and its music a haunting loop of melancholic melodies. The horses, with their glassy eyes and chipped paint, seemed to carry stories of years past, and it was here that Mila felt a strange sense of belonging. On the last night of the carnival, Mila decided to take a ride on the carousel. There was something about the soft moonlight that night that made the air thrum with an unspoken promise. As she approached, the operator, an elderly woman with a gentle smile, handed her a ticket without saying a word. Mila chose a horse at the inner circle, one that seemed older than the rest, its mane more worn, its eyes deeper. As the carousel started, the lights dimmed until only the soft glow of overhead lanterns lit the ride. The world outside the carousel blurred, the shots and laughter of the carnival fading into a distant echo. With each rotation, Mila felt increasingly detached from her surroundings. The music slowed to a somber waltz, and she noticed the mirrors around the carousel's center reflecting not the carnival, but images of the carousel in different eras. In these reflections, she saw faces of other solitary riders, their expressions somber yet peaceful, as if the ride offered them a momentary escape from their solitude. The carousel seemed to spin slower with each turn, and the air grew chillier. Mila could no longer hear the carnival at all, only the creak of the old ride and the haunting waltz that seemed to whisper secrets in a language she felt she almost understood. It was as if the carousel was alive, breathing in the night and exhaling stories of loneliness and longing. When the ride finally stopped, Mila remained seated for a moment, reluctant to step back into the reality of noise and color. The elderly operator approached her, her eyes reflecting a knowing sadness. "It shows us what we need to see," she said softly, her voice blending with the night air. Mila nodded, understanding without fully understanding. She stepped off the carousel, feeling a weight lifted, a shared solitude acknowledged and accepted through the silent communion with the ride and its past visitors. As she walked home under the light of the full moon, Mila felt less alone than she had in a long time. The carousel had offered her a glimpse into a world where her solitude was just another echo in the cycle of time, significant, heard, and understood. She knew the carnival would leave the next day, but the echoes of the carousel, like whispers of kindred spirits, would stay with her, comforting her in her moments of isolation. In the heart of autumn, the Festival of Lights was the crown jewel of Vernon's social calendar, a time when the entire town sparkled under thousands of twinkling lights and laughter filled the crisp evening air. Among the festival goers were Jake and Nama, who had been the picture of young love for nearly 2 years. Known for their inseparable bond, they walked hand in hand, their smiles lighting up even more brightly than the decorations around them. Jake had always been a charismatic charmer, the kind who could light up a room and draw people to him effortlessly. Emma, with her quiet warmth and thoughtful nature, balanced him perfectly. To outsiders, they were a perfect match, but beneath the surface, tensions simmered, jealousies and insecurities that went mostly unspoken. As the festival neared its end, Jake suggested one final walk through the illuminated paths before they headed home. The night was beautiful, but Emma felt a chill that wasn't just from the autumn air. Jake seemed distracted, his usual affable demeanor clouded with something darker. They stopped at a secluded part of the park, overlooked by tall trees and away from the laughter and music. The only light came from the strings of bulbs that seemed to hang like stars in the sky above them. It was here that Emma decided to confront Jake about the distance she had felt growing between them. "What's going on with us, Jake? It's like you're not really here anymore," she said, her voice a mix of confusion and concern. Jake's expression darkened. He confessed that he had grown resentful of their relationship, feeling it was holding him back from opportunities he wanted to pursue alone. The conversation escalated quickly as suppressed feelings surfaced, the tension between them palpable. Emma, realizing that their relationship could not be salvaged, suggested they take a break to give each other space to figure things out. This suggestion triggered something in Jake, a mix of anger and desperation. In a moment of misguided passion and fury, he pushed her away harder than he intended. Emma stumbled backward, tripping over a loosely coiled rope of lights, her head striking the hard edge of a nearby bench. The impact was severe, and Emma lay motionless, her eyes closed, her face partially illuminated by the festival lights. Jake, in a panic, realized the gravity of what had happened. He checked for a pulse, his hands trembling, but it was too late. Emma was gone. In his shock and despair, Jake fled the scene, leaving behind a scene that, once discovered, would turn the town's beloved festival into a memory marred by tragedy. The Festival of Lights, once a symbol of joy and community, would now forever hold a dark note of sorrow and loss. This tragic turn of events left the town in mourning, grappling with the shock of the violence hidden beneath the surface of what seemed like a perfect relationship. Jake, consumed by guilt and grief, eventually turned himself into the authorities, unable to live with the burden of his actions. The festival lights, once bright and beautiful, now cast long shadows, reminders of how quickly love can turn to loss.